on the bulletin this morning, you will see a picture of a dove, yet another symbol or image of the Holy Spirit, and a common one at that. But one image you won't see quite as much, but one which is powerful nonetheless, is the image of a wild goose. Celtic Christians, I'm told, in Ireland and Scotland, prefer to think of the Holy Spirit as a wild goose. And I want to explore why, though that ancient culture might have felt that a goose was such an appropriate image of the Holy Spirit. If you think of the Holy Spirit as a dove, which is on your bulletin this morning, you might very quickly move to images of peaceful cooing and beautiful plumage and contented rest and serenity. And the Holy Spirit may very well be all of that. But if you think of the Spirit as a wild goose, something very different comes to mind. And if you've ever had an encounter with one along the crescent, you'll know what I mean. Wild geese are wild, untamed, uncontrolled. And they have a habit of biting and hissing if they feel you're going to get in their way. They can also make a lot of noise. And even if they don't seem all that interested, I'm always a little wary when I'm around a wild goose. Untamed, uncontrollable. When it comes to the Holy Spirit, expect the unexpected. So when I opened up that newspaper in January, the Daily Graphic, by the way, I certainly didn't expect to meet a wild goose. But there was an ad for a chaplain at Agassiz, and in accepting the position, I really felt the uncontrolled, unexpected power of the Spirit calling me to a very different kind of ministry. Now, I may get bitten and hissed at along the way, but at least I hope I be faithful to the call of the Spirit. And there's something else about the goose that might apply more directly to you. The goose, it seems to me, is one of the most communal of birds, drawing its life from the flock. And even if for a few hours they break off into 2s or 3s or 5s or 6s and fly off to a field, they always return at the end of the day along the crescent en masse. It's an image of community. And it reminds us that God's Spirit is not a spirit of individualism, but of community. The Spirit, when it is the Holy Spirit, brings people together to support one another and accompany one another for a space of time. We are profoundly grateful that we have had this time, that God has brought us together, and I believe will continue to hold us together, but in different ways. Each and every one of you, the whole communion of saints, living and dead, in this place, will always be a part of us. The Spirit has brought us together. And finally, about the goose. You've probably heard the stories about how geese like to fly. We all see them in their V formation. And that V formation, as scientists tell us, actually allows the geese to travel further, because the flapping wings of the bird in the front creates an updraft for the bird behind. So it makes it easier for the whole group to move forward. So together, they can go further than they could have gone alone. But the bird at the very front of the V doesn't get the benefit of that updraft. And so it will tire more quickly. But when it tires, it falls back into the formation, and another goose takes over the lead. Now, analogies like this can sometimes get pushed too far, but we are clearly at the point when one goose is going to have to move back in order to allow another goose to come up to the front. Many of you will be called upon to lead, especially during this time of transition. You will all do well, and you will all continue to fly, to move forward together, strongly. Now I'm also told that when geese, you hear them honking in that V formation, they're there to encourage the goose at the front. So I hope that all your honking will be encouraging one another and your new leadership. See, the Holy Spirit continues to move us and shake us up and lead us to new possibilities. The Spirit is fire and wind and dove, but today also, and maybe especially today, the Spirit is like a wild goose. So consider the goose